Hey, what's up, guys? Back at it with a brand new video, and I hope you enjoyed your Christmas and holiday season. I've been a little bit inconsistent with the videos recently, kind of with the holidays, kind of preparing for that. But now that that's over, I hope to get back on a consistent schedule. And today, we're going to be talking about what happened December 19th, Anthony Joshua knocking out Jake Paul, and we're going to really be focusing on what's next for Jake Paul, and is Jake Paul's boxing career potentially over? Now, first, I'm going to give my opinions on the fight, just kind of give a quick recap. Personally, I actually kind of lost respect for Jake Paul. Now, that's going to sound weird because, the reaction of some people online was, yeah, Jake Paul, even though he wasn't going to win, he still got in the ring. He still went 6 rounds. He got up, he has a chin, he has heart. And yeah, some of that's true. Like I respect people who get in the ring. So yeah, I'll give baseline respect for that, just like any other boxer. But I feel like people are acting like Jake Paul's a guy off the streets, right? And the way I see it, if we judge his performance, from the perspective of if I went up to a guy, said, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a lot of money to fight Anthony Joshua, but you only have 3 weeks to train," and they went in there and they managed to go 6 rounds, I'd respect that a lot, right? But Jake Paul is a professional boxer, right? He's not a make-a-wish kid. He's not some guy off the streets. And if I judge him from the lens of a professional boxer, I don't think his performance was respectable at all, right? He was on his bike in a 22 by 22 ring, which is bigger than standard, which is fine, right? He doesn't need to go Peter McNeely style and go after Anthony Joshua and get knocked out in the first round. Yeah, he can go on his bike a little bit. He can use movement. He can keep his distance. That's fine, but you gassed out after like 2 or 3 rounds doing that, which was right. So you clearly did not have the conditioning to keep that game plan for an 8 round fight, which is already like really short for, you know, Anthony Joshua standards, right? Like you're getting paid this much money on Netflix to do an 8 round fight. But anyways, you gas yourself out after 3 rounds, and then to avoid engaging, right? You decide to basically do takedowns, which were you should have been gotten point every time you did that because he did that because he didn't want to fight because he was too scared to. And he's basically taking a knee to get out of having to actually box. So I have no idea why he was given so many opportunities to basically stall out the fight, give himself time to recover. And those takedowns are actually taking away his energy. So even though he was like, I think, trying to survive, it was actually just not a good idea. But yeah, that was ridiculous. The fact that he's trying to go for takedowns and the fact that he also faked a low blow. Like, yeah, AJ's knee landed on his stomach, it looked like, but that was not because of a punch, right? You pretended like you got a low blow from a punch, because you tried to take down, which failed. You got thrown on the ground, and his knee landed on you. Like, bro, that's your fault. You can't. That's an illegal move in a boxing match. You can't do a takedown. So how are you gonna try to buy yourself like an extra minute by faking the low blow? So that also made me mad. But anyways, I just don't think it was a respectable performance. And yeah, he did manage to go 6 rounds by basically using every tactic he could think of, but you ended up getting knocked out anyway. You got knocked down multiple times, and you got your jaw broken. So what really was the point in that? Because you didn't really gain anyone's respect. But yeah, I saw a few people, but I'm also seeing way more people making fun of you. I'm seeing people in the boxing, in the fight community, you know, trash on you for being scared. Like, yeah, you went longer than Francis, but then when we look at it with context, Francis was there to run the fade. You were there to try to survive as long as possible so you could get some like, tough guy street cred for managing to go a few rounds. So yeah, I don't think it was really a good move. Like if you went in there and traded from the start and got knocked out, like you probably would have taken less long-term damage and possibly not gotten your jaw broken. Instead, you decided to go the angle of, oh, I'm going to go as many rounds as possible. But you actually took more long-term damage and a broken jaw because he wasn't able to breathe properly, right? Usually you're supposed to bite down on your mouthpiece so you don't have your mouth, you're not mouth breathing. But he was so gassed, he was mouth breathing, and his jaw was used as a crumple zone, which is probably why he didn't get knocked out. But honestly, I'd probably rather get knocked out cold than have my jaw broken because not only is the recovery going to be terrible for him, he's now his chin might not be the same. And that's what I'm really going to get to in this video is that is Jake Paul's career, is it cooked, right? Because this jaw surgery is kind of, I mean, not worst case scenario. I mean, I guess it could have like got like paralyzed or something. I don't know, like broken neck, but like it's pretty bad, right? I think this is worse than getting knocked out because first of all, we don't know. Like, he has to go through this long recovery. He's going to be out the ring for 9 to 12 months. So earliest I would say is probably September 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him until 2027 though, because he's going to lose weight because he's on a liquid diet. Then he's going to have to gain weight. He's going to have to get his conditioning right, get back to training. And the mental part too is because you have your jaw broken. Before you really get cracked as a boxer, you kind of think, oh, I can take that punch. I can eat that punch. But now he knows, oh, wait, there's levels to this. I think he got kind of his ego checked. He's a little bit humble now. But I wonder if that's going to affect him, mentally and his confidence wise, knowing that he kind of, realized, oh, there's levels to this. Like, I'm not invincible like I thought I was, right? Because, yeah, he's lost before, but it was a decision and he's never been knocked down. So when you get ragdolled around the ring and you get your jaw cracked in a million pieces and you become an internet meme, like, I don't know, that could have, a mental effect on him the next time he gets in the ring. So, like, I don't think, this is for sure the end, right? There are boxers that have come back from broken jaws. I believe Jairo Pataya's had a pretty bad broken jaw. I think I saw Bam Rodriguez has had broken jaw. Conor Benn. So yeah, there are boxers that have come back from a broken jaw. But, the question is obviously the mental recovery, but is his chin going to hold up? Because as Eddie Hearn said on the Ariel Helwani show, he said, oh, well, Jake Paul definitely has a chin. Well, at least he had a chin. And there's some truth to that, right? Because Jairo Bataya, who did have a broken jaw, in his last fight, he got rocked by this 40-year-old Polish guy, I think, who's like, I mean, no one really knows who this guy is, who's a mandatory, one of those irrelevant IBF mandatories they always call. And he got wobbled badly, rocked against the ropes in the second round. And yeah, he came back and knocked him out. But to me, it's like, would Jai Opetaia before that broken jaw, would he get rocked by that guy? So I don't know. There's questions to be had if Jake Paul's chin is going to be the same. And Joe Rogan, he spoke about this too. Is this really worth it for Jake Paul? Because Jake Paul does not need to fight, right? The difference between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, or any of these other real boxers, is that Anthony Joshua is rich, like has hundreds of millions. He doesn't need to fight either. But like boxing is still kind of that is his life, right? Yeah, AJ started at 18, but he became famous through boxing. He came up through boxing. The reason why he's famous is because of boxing. Like it's all, his life does revolve around boxing, right? Same with Canelo Alvarez. He doesn't need to fight either. He has other businesses. He's set for life. He has, smart investments. But the reason why Canelo's Canelo is because of boxing. If it wasn't for boxing, he would just be some random guy in Mexico, right? Jake Paul is different. He doesn't need boxing. He did not, he was famous before boxing. And it's not like he was an amateur boxer and became famous like, Ryan Garcia or something. Like, no, he just was like a YouTuber influencer before boxing. He doesn't need to do this. So I think that's a valid, concern by Joe Rogan is like, you're getting brain trauma, not just through the fights, but through all the sparring you're doing to try to catch up, try to increase your skill level. And it's like, what's really the end goal with this? Because you're clearly not skilled enough to compete with the top boxers, right? Nothing in this fight suggested that you could compete at cruiserweight with like Jai Opetaia or David Benavidez. Obviously, you're way too small for heavyweight. Like they're all just going to ragdoll you around. And it seems like he really should be at light heavyweight, but it seems like he doesn't want to cut that much weight. And also, Bivol and Beterbiev and Benavidez and even Anthony Yarde, they would all just like brutalize him. So I don't really know, unless he can get a Conor McGregor fight or he wants to do a KSI fight, it's unclear what's really the next step for Jake Paul. Because if he was to win, yeah, he would have so many opportunities, right? But now that he's lost and he got knocked out, we have to consider like, first, is the general public going to be interested in another Jake Paul fight? Because we all kind of got what we wanted. He got knocked out, he got his jaw broken, turned into a meme. And nothing in the fight suggested that, again, he would be able to compete with Canelo Alvarez or Terrence Crawford, especially with his broken jaw. Bro, if Canelo Alvarez lands that left hook that he did on like Edgar Berlanga, Jake Paul's jaw is going to explode into like a million pieces, like literally just shatter and like evaporate. Like there's no way he has the punch resistance or the chin out to be able to compete with those top guys, even if they're a little bit smaller than him. Say, I'm not sure what's next for Jake Paul. I think he's going to continue to, like, he's definitely going to try to make a comeback. He's going to go into training and sparring, and I think he'll schedule a fight. Now, against two, though, I think Tommy Fury would be the best option because at least if he beats Tommy Fury, he could say, oh, I beat a boxer who's my age, my size, in his physical prime. Is Tommy Fury an elite fighter? No, but hey, I actually beat a boxer who's my age. He can at least have that as his boxing legacy that, he has a win, or I guess a somewhat respectable win on his record. But I don't think that's an easy fight, right? I don't think Tommy Fury, he's inactive, so Jake Paul probably be the favorite at this point, and he hasn't exactly progressed. But I don't know, man. I would not be surprised if Tommy Fury was to win. Um, Another option would be Conor McGregor, because obviously I think Netflix would be interested. Huge numbers. And Conor McGregor does have some boxing ability compared to other like MMA guys, so it could be more interesting. But he is also undersized, and he's also under contract with the UFC, so I don't think that's going to happen probably. And the other option would be a KSI fight, kind of put an end to the influencer boxing saga, I guess. Probably would be bigger in the UK, because this is where it all started, right, with KSI and Logan Paul. And obviously, Jake Paul took it to the next level, going out of the influencer scene. But this would kind of just do a kind of a nice wrap up to the influencer boxing scene, and it would still be commercially big. But then again, I don't know if KSI really wants it. He's not active, and I think Jake Paul at this point is definitely way more skilled than KSI. Now, I don't think he's going to go and like destroy him in the first round because I don't know. I feel like KSI is going to find a way to clinch and survive and do these weird, jumping tactics. But I don't see him winning at all. But yeah, let me know what do you guys think? Is Jake Paul's career over? Is he going to go back to MMA, older guys? Am I actually wrong? And is he going to actually take this loss and improve and get a cruiserweight title fight in a few years? Like, let me know. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe.